Okay, and we're back.
Yes.
So now that we've covered like most of the history of the universe and including the Big Bang, we can talk about the extreme cases. So you may be interested in asking what could have happened before the Big Bang. And personally, I really like Stephen Hawking's explanation or like riposte to this.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Hawking proposes the Hartle-Hawking proposal of a no boundary system of the universe, which is basically them saying that because the universe started from a point that has no edge, if you think of like the shape of the universe being this like shuttlecock, point at which it's at its complete tip is actually there's no edge there. So there's no use in talking about something that happened before the Big Bang because it's like asking what is under the South Pole on Earth.
I feel like my brain is too small
What do
to
you mean? Wait,
even
no. Wouldn't it
accept
be
that
more like,
rebuttal.
oh, what were you doing before you were born kind of question rather than what is beneath the
Because
South
it's
Pole?
not about a time thing. Like there's ideas that originally time wasn't even a dimension of space, but space was 4D space dimensions. Now there's 3D in time, and that one of those space dimensions rotated into time.
Huh?
Okay.
We don't
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
no, I don't
Okay.
want to get into. I
we
can't
don't
do
have to
this.
get into that. We don't have to get
What?
into that. We don't
How?
have to get
How?
into that.
Okay. And how can there be a before the Big Bang if time wasn't a thing before the Big
I
Bang?
think it was called a Wick rotation, if I'm not mistaken. And so time only came into existence not with the Big Bang, but after even the Big Bang happened. And so it's like as if you're trying to describe a space of something that exists with like outside of its limits.
I don't. How can there be no time?
Hey man, this is where I say trust me, bro. Again. Trust me, bro responds.
He's our one source of truth here.
Source,
Alright.
not me.
I
Okay.
guess
So
as someone like you, Marco, who likes history so much, the thought of there being a time where time was not a thing is like, what the fuck?
what do you mean for me? Like you can handle that
Yeah, I get it.
information?
Yeah, I can. You know, it's not that crazy.
Oh, it's not that deep. Yeah, bro.
No.
Time wasn't a thing.
I mean,
You just
can you
gotta
handle that we live in
skill it.
like a universe or our perception of the universe being three-dimensional plus a time dimension added to that?
Yes.
Okay, well then if you break down each dimension and then you can see in 3D and you can picture like geometrically these things, you can expand this like very simplistic model to a abstract mathematical model, and this is how just like how you rotate from like an XYZ coordinate system to like a polar coordinate system where you'd be looking at radius and angle, you'd be kind of doing very loosely the same thing to one dimension of space and rotating it into time.
I don't think I will be able to understand it.
It's
I
not
don't
meant to
think
be
I have the
understood. Honestly,
hardware.
this is way far beyond like the scope of even this talk, so
So basically, before the Big Bang, what happened? We don't know. We don't care.
pretty much.
Could there have been multiple Big Bangs?
Yes, there could have been.
And it's just
Brian
this is the
Cox.
one that finally took off and had inflation.
This is the one that we live in.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. You just opened an insane door there.
Isn't that like kind of
That's the multiverse
theory
theory.
of,
Multiverse
like,
theory.
of the
Okay.
multiverse?
Yes, exactly. And
Can we also say it's like the Big
theory,
Crunch theory that I guess we'll probably talk
that's
about
different.
near
That's
about the
different.
end,
But the multiverse theory is where if you can kind of picture every universe as being this kind of like flat sheet that we live within, that exists in this like larger, extra dimensional, bigger than our universe space that exists with all the other sheets of universes that are existing. That is a possibility as well.
How likely?
So we're like our universe is floating amongst a bunch of other universes in this like super space.
But what are the odds?
This is theory.
Okay.
There's like this is where it breaks down to like there's no mathematically accurate model of this. It is just purely idea
Okay.
based off of what we observe, based off of like current models, based off of imagination, yada yada. So now we talked about before the Big Bang, we don't care.
Yeah.
The end of the universe now, this is I find is a little more interesting. So the main theory that is that might be like the most common one to hear
The heat death.
And the most generally accepted one is the heat death of the universe. By heat death, I mean where the universe keeps expanding at the rate that it's at now, and it progressively gets colder and colder. And as things get further and further apart, they will stop having noticeable effects on each other, like gravitational effects, gravitational pulls. And eventually, every structure in the universe is going to become so separate that there's energy density is going to tend towards zero, and everything is going to stop existing, pretty much.
So what's the other name for the heat death?
The big freeze, I think.
I
Yeah,
heard
big
another
freeze.
one.
I think it's the big freeze, if I'm not mistaken.
Heat death.
It's the big chill, bro.
Big chill, the big chill. Yes.
I
yes,
didn't know you were
absolutely.
chill like that.
Big chill.
I like
I'm just
heat
a
death better.
chill guy, you know. That's
Do
the universe is just a chill guy.
Do we have an estimate on when that would be, if that's the outcome?
According to some estimates, it would be in about, I think the last black hole is supposed to die out and the black holes would be the last celestial entities to die out. And when there's no more celestial object to exist within the universe, and then you just have an empty universe, time stops being meaningful. And then that's why we say it's the end of the universe, because it would technically be where time ends.
Because there's nothing to
have reactions. There's no like clock that is keeping track of anything going on.
That's
So the
grim.
nothing's
universe,
changing and nothing is being created.
Exactly.
It's like always
That is grim.
nothingness, pretty
the
much.
universe will continue to expand and continue to expand with complete emptiness. And this, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last black hole to be expunged would be at about 100 billion years from now.
Okay, we have
100
some
billion?
time. Is there anything we can do to like, stop that?
No. Pretty
Are you
much.
sure?
Sorry. It's way more than 100 billion. My bad.
10
It's
to 100.
10 to the 100 years. And then particles after that, like fundamental particles, would decay at 10 to the 1,000 years.
But most life or planets or other celestial bodies would be gone long.
Oh, way, way, way before. Planets would be, yeah. Because, like, if you think, like, there would be nothing close enough to, like, a star's vicinity to form any meaningful, like, object.
True.
Fuck.
So that's the heat death. That's the most commonly accepted one. That's based off of the assumption that the universe will just continue to grow at the rate that it's growing. Yeah, laws of physics are conserved, blah, blah, blah. Everything is fine. There is one interesting one.
Is the Big
Yes.
Crunch. That's my
Yes.
favorite.
So
But
what do you know
probably
about the
not.
Big Crunch?
From my understanding, it's like the same way like the Big Bang occurred at a certain point in time. Like expansion will reverse as like gravity will pretty much contract the universe back in on itself into another singularity. And then once it has become like dense enough, it would be like another Big Bang reoccurring. So like a big reset, you know?
That's a second theory called the Big Bounce.
Oh, that's the Big Bounce.
You're combining two of them together. But yes.
Wait, we're gonna reset?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so yes,
I like that
absolutely
one.
right.
Is
Hit the
that not
reset.
I thought the Big Crunch
5G
was the same
towers.
thing as Big Bounce. Was it not?
Exactly. The Big Crunch was first. It was first hypothesized by a Russian physicist called Alexander Friedman, and so this is in 1922. And this is like the current version of the Big Crunch that we have. And this theory rests on Bentley's paradox. So Richard Bentley is the founder of philology, funnily enough.
Which is
Philology?
Philology is the study of languages through oral tradition and ancient texts, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I think a lot of philosophers were philologists.
Yeah, says
I'm pretty sure
I'm not
Nietzsche
sure
was
about that. Philologist. Well, philology, he founded it at the end of the 18th century, so yeah, it was like late 1700s
yeah, I think my boy Nietzsche was into that. But,
or
okay.
early 1700s. Sorry,
He told
early
you that himself?
1700s.
Okay, so the Big Crunch.
Your friend Fried. So Bentley's paradox states that if we're in a finite universe and all stars attract each other, would they not all collapse to a singular point? And if we're an infinite universe with infinite stars, would infinite forces in every direction not affect all of those stars? So this is Bentley's paradox, and that's kind of where the idea for the big crunch comes where yes, because you have all this like matter existing in the universe under the forces of gravity, it would eventually lead to the collapse of said universe, which, you know, in the 1920s was like a fair assumption. Eventually, as we found out that the universe actually is still expanding and dark energy exists and it seems to continue to expand upward, or increasingly, we discount this theory as being valid.
Get fucked, bars.
Yeah. So this theory also led to the subsequent one Parsa mentioned,
Poor
called the
me
Big
who
Bounce.
believes that, you know, we'll have a second shot. Reset.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the reset will happen even before, and other cosmic forces are at play that we don't know about. So that would be the Big Crunch, Big Bounce, tide theories. That was another option, but is generally not really accepted anymore. My personal favorite one is this one. So, are you guys familiar with the Big Rip?
No.
That
actually,
sounds
I've heard
terrifying,
of
bro.
it.
Brother boys. Okay, so if you thought that the heat death was scary,
It sounds terrifying.
wait until you get a load of the Big Rip. So in this case, this is essentially the opposite of the Big Crunch, where instead of now having a universe that's receding and will collapse onto itself, because of the presence of dark energy evolving in time, for example, if the density of dark energy were to increase in space as space continued to expand, then the force dark energy places on the expansion of the universe would also increase until it gets to a point where it tends towards an infinitely scaling increase in expansion rate, which would be kind of like if you're thinking of dark energy as like a anti-gravity. So instead of bringing things together, it pulls them apart. It will literally do that. Like it will have a force so powerful that it'll tear up galaxies, stars, planets, atoms, until it's so powerful that it tears up space-time itself, and it
What?
would rip the universe at its very fabric.
I don't like that, bro. I don't like that one.
Make it stop.
Yeah,
I
like
like
do we need so we're okay. What's the evidence for that?
So Robert R. Caldwell and associates from Dartmouth College, they came up with this theory around the mid 2000s because they theorized. Well, and so they didn't come up with this theory, but there's a thing called phantom energy, which is a
That's
type of
sick.
which yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
That's what like Danny Phantom used. That's what Danny Phantom used, no?
No, we heard you, bro.
Sorry, that was my phantom response. So
Bro, we
a
need a
type of
soundboard. Okay.
a
Sorry.
type of dark energy called the phantom energy, which is a little different, wherein instead of now having like a constantly increasing acceleration of expansion, you end up with a type of energy that causes an exponentially growing expansion of space, which would lead to space expansion rate increasing towards infinity. And given enough time, it would be so powerful again that it would rip apart space-time itself. So the very fabric of not even just like particles and atoms and quarks and even more elementary particles, but the actual 4 dimensions that we are allowed to exist in would get ripped apart. Yeah, dimensional scale ripping, which is kind of sick. And so they theorized a scenario where if this like phantom energy was strong enough that in like 22 billion years this would happen, something like that.
I'm seeing 200 billion years.
200.
Oh wait, yeah. So in the original paper, they considered 22 billion years based on W being -5. What is W, Tristan?
I think the correct value is negative 1.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. They use
Yes.
-1.
Yes,
W.
exactly. So W is winning, and
Winning.
they're assuming that the universe will have a negative win rate.
Yeah, just
That's
like
why it wants to rip itself apart, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Just look at my match history. Anyways, so the W is And again, I'm not going to go too much into detail about this because there's a very obvious question that's going to come out. But it is the ratio of pressure. I want to say this correctly. If I'm not mistaken, it's density of pressure over density of energy in the universe.
Yeah, you're good.
And it has a negative value. Basically, don't care about the negative pressure energy right now because I don't want to talk about it. But if the value was at -1, which according to current models, that's what it's predicted to be, then the expansion rate of the universe is going to continue as is, and we're going to end up with the heat death of the universe scenario. In a context where this value ends up being larger or more negative than -1, so -1.5, for example, this will be driving the universe towards an accelerating expansion increase.
Yeah. Okay, so we're chilling.
Yeah, if our current
I
cosmological
don't think it's gonna
models
happen in our
are
lifetime,
correct, then yes, heat death is the most likely one. The Big Rip is still like theory and needs to be obviously tested
Yeah, our
through.
most recent data from the Planck mission indicates W to be minus 0.028, pushing the earliest possible time of the Big Rip to 200 billion years in the future.
I feel like all of these are quite ways away, though, Marco. Like, it's. I don't think it's anything like. I don't think humans are gonna be around long enough to experience such a thing.
No, definitely not. No,
No,
definitely
definitely not, bro.
We're gonna kill
100%
ourselves
no,
before
no.
that.
Like, if life is even still a thing by then, it's
Oh,
gonna
our
be
sun would die
unrecognizable.
before our
All right,
sun would die
yeah,
before even getting close to that.
exactly. Like there's we don't got to worry about these like finale
Yo, yo,
situations.
yo.
These are
Like, guys,
Imagine witnessing it as like an omniscient third party, just like
yeah, it must be so cool, bro. Imagine you see the Big Rip.
yeah.
well, aren't you gonna get ripped at the same time?
Well, you'd get
No,
ripped way
as like an
before.
omniscient third party, you know, kind of looking
Bro,
down
it's
on
the
the
it's
universe,
it's the
like a
gommage.
godlike figure.
Well, imagine like what I like to think is that if we go back to like the idea that we are these kind of sheets of universes that coexist in this like super space of other universes, whatever happens to our universe, if there is a being that is capable of existing without the limits of our like four-dimensional universe space, they would literally see what happens to our universe at the end of it. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
I don't think I grasped that. Could you say that
Like,
again?
okay, so picture of an empty floating space.
Yeah.
Okay, like it could be whatever you want. But in the space, there's these like flat sheets. Could be like these flat disks, and these disks that are floating around are a bunch of different universes, which ours would be one of them. Or you can think of them as bubbles floating around in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you were a being that existed outside the limits of our universe, so outside of like our 4D universe that we call our universe, but if we were on the outside looking at all these different universes in the multiverse, you would see like our bubble pop and how it would pop.
If
And
you're
you
there
can
at the
maybe
right time.
observe, yeah, exactly. And you can maybe observe, like, obviously at that point, maybe you have like other physical properties that you can observe, like all the physics of all the different universes, or if they all have the same physics and they're all explained the same way, like, I don't know. But
Bro, I kind of wanna be a four-dimensional
Multi-dimensional.
being.
Multi-dimensional being.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
it would be.
What's the first
But
thing
yeah,
you would do
so-
if you were a multi-dimensional being? What's the first thing you would do if you're a multi-dimensional being? Like omniscient and all-powerful?
How could I even conceive of that with my current?
No, but like, you know,
Patience.
what would you want to do, you know? Like, what would you...
No, but
you
Parson,
were
like, the thing is,
God.
we can't even imagine what such a being would want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
But
We don't even
you
know
are the
if the
being.
being could do anything, because maybe they would just be able to observe, but they
what
can't
you're-
interact.
What you're asking is equivalent to an ant looking at us and thinking like, "What would I do if I was a human?"
It's
Yeah,
like
but you
even
could still, like,
It's
you
even
could
bigger
still,
than that.
you could-
yeah, it's even larger scale than that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
I'm
like
just
if-
saying, using your own personality, just like, you know, what do you think you'd do? Like, with the knowledge you have, with the whatever, you know, like, obviously it's beyond scale, beyond imagination. Just
I would
like,
start a bunch of universes and just see how they go.
Yeah, you'd like
The guy
make a
from
little
Dragon
farm,
Ball?
like a universe farm.
A universe. Have you guys watched Dragon Ball?
No, and let's not go on this stunlock.
Alright,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so there's two more like final universe like death scenarios. So we went over the heat death, we went over the big crunch, and the big rip, my personal gem.
Yeah.
And then, so this next one is kind of like, it's become more popular in general culture to think this way. But simulation shutdown is one possible idea where if we are living in a simulation, the simulation could just cease to exist at any point if the creators are like satisfied. Not
Well, we are probably in a simulation, by the way.
What makes you say that?
what do you mean probably?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to explain it well, but the core of simulation theory is that on a long enough time frame, if you look at us, let's say, and how AI has been developing and all the processing power we're now getting access to, especially if in the future we can get like a Dyson sphere or something of the sort and essentially have close to unlimited processing power, it's feasible that we could develop a simulation that is like living real life, right? Like something as realistic as the life you're living now could be done as like a video game in 100,000 years.
Where the beings living in the game would develop consciousness to the point where the fourth wall is broken.
Or think
And
they
they
have
would,
consciousness.
like,
Yeah,
how do
no,
we-
I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm saying it's not that crazy of a leap when we look at how much we have already. Give it another 10,000.
Yeah. It's definitely, that's why like it's grown in popularity, like especially with the advent of like video
Well, yeah,
games
because
and
it would like
technology and
if in the
screens.
medieval era, that's not even a possibility because like they don't even know what a computer is. Like they
Well,
don't
they
even
don't
know
even
we
know
can
what.
do stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we don't even know that like our brains are connected through electrical signals, and that's how all our like computation of like we are technically living in a simulation, and it's a simulation that our brains are producing at every single moment of time.
Right, yes, you're just piloting a meat zombie and your brain is like hallucinating based on what your eyes are telling you.
Exactly, we're all living in a common hallucinations. So
Well,
like, yeah,
not common. We all have our own hallucination, no?
yeah, but there is a commonality. Like if I like, we can both agree that we can observe the same thing.
Yeah, but we can both say this lamp is blue and we may not even be seeing the same color.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I
But
think
that's
we've gone
where
off
like
what we're
there is a
talking
common but not exactly perfect. Like they all overlap,
Yes.
kind of like a Venn diagram. But the degree to which they overlap is dependent
Okay,
on
but
like.
going back to the do you agree that it's feasible that we could eventually develop a simulation that is indistinguishable from reality?
I feel like we'd have to first understand like the laws of physics to the point where we can know how the Big Bang even got created in the first place.
What? Just to
Because
be able to have a video game that feels like real life?
yes.
Why?
Well, it's like because I feel like it's very hard to believe that I have lived an entire life. Yeah, I guess you're right.
But I
guess
mean,
you
our
could say-
brains are very fickle. They're very
Yeah,
easy to
yeah, I could
manipulate.
be in the fucking
Like I know it
Matrix, and I am
feels,
like
I know it feels like you lived the whole life, but like
yeah, and it's like if you can make a simulation that's as complex and varied as the one we're living in right now, like the fact
Yeah.
that we have dreams and stuff like that,
yeah.
then maybe yeah, c'est possible, I guess.
Look, I'm just saying it's feasible, especially when you look at how fast we've developed technology in the past just 100 years. I think in another 1,000 years, it's more than possible we can get to that point. And what the
Yeah,
theory
that's-
says is basically, if you create this simulation that people are living in, and you basically have a new universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, that universe is going to be advanced enough to create a simulation
Yes,
that's
exactly.
indistinguishable, and so on and so on and so on.
And then you
and-
lose track of the original one.
Yeah, and then you lose track. And then there's been so many that, like, if on a long enough time frame humans will develop a simulation, then it's way more likely than not that we do live in a simulation. Because what are the odds that we're in the first universe? if like on a long enough time frame, there's going to be millions of these simulations.
That's only if that rests on the assumption that
It makes a
humans-
shit ton of assumptions. Yes.
Yeah, that beings
Yeah, of
will
course.
exist with the intelligence and for a long enough scale.
No,
that
no,
they
of
will
course it
develop
makes
this type
it
of
makes it. I mean,
technology.
just the like you even said, like it's even making the assumption that we are able to simulate consciousness,
Yeah,
which is not a guarantee.
which we don't even understand yet. So
Yeah, we don't even know what the
Yeah.
fuck it is.
yeah. So yeah, I tend to give less interest to like the simulation theories because it's like so far out of like.
Well, it's like a philosophical thought experiment, right? It's not an actual
No, it is.
studyable. It's
No,
not like
at all.
the big rib that you can study with formulas and all. It's just that's why
But that's
I like
why-
it the most
yeah.
because it's just philosophical yapping.
It is, but that's yeah, it is just that. But because it's like unprovable, I can't even quantify it in any way.
Yeah.
It makes it hard for me to take it seriously,
Yes, of course. And as a scientist, you shouldn't. It's like for philosophy people.
Fair.
It's like, did you ever hear of last Tuesday theory?
No.
It's like a thought experiment, just because we were talking about the brain and how everything is just a hallucination. Last Tuesday theory it's not even a theory, it's more like just a philosophical thought experiment. It says that the universe in its current state, along with you, could have been created last Tuesday, and you were imbued with all these memories of a fake life, and you would have no way of disproving it. But it's true. You have no way of disproving that the universe wasn't created 3 days ago, and you were just created with all these fake memories.
Wait, sorry. Do you mind re-explaining that? Like, if the universe was created 3 days ago, how would we have
Well, you could have been created with fake memories. Like everything that
how
happened so far that you think happened was just fake memories that were implanted in you.
like if it's a simulation?
Yes,
Okay, yeah. Yeah, see, but like I'm wearing a headset right now, and I'm just like,
but we're going wildly off topic. So, what was the
yeah.
last possibility for the death of the
And then the
universe?
last thing is now I'm going back to like the super dimensional being
The
that
alien just
has
gets
this.
tired of our shit and like craps on
Well,
us.
so
Lights
not
start
necessarily
popping off.
a being, but so this space outside of our universe, like I call it super space,
Whoa,
Sick,
where yeah, thank
sick.
you.
that's good naming. That's why you're a physicist right there.
Thank you, thank you. Where you have all the multiverse, so all the different universes that exist as these like sheets or whatever form they're under, and they collide, and this collision will cause a kind of bubble to appear inside our own universe, and it'll create like how you have the vacuum of space. Well, it'll create like an anti-vacuum where it'll from within create like implosion of our universe.
But this one is not very likely.
Well, this is also a thought experiment.
Okay.
That's like considering if other dimensions even exist or other universes.
Yes, yes, exactly. That it does posit on that assumption, and yeah, so that kind of does the tour.
Well, that was a lot of information
Informative.
to take in.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, dude.
It was
Uh,
it's a lot.
insights.
It's a lot for sure to take in.
And I'm
I
sure
can I
you,
can imagine.
but the thing is, like, you compacted it into like 2 hours of conversation. I think.
Yeah, which is like
True.
this is like
And
years
you
of
went
studying.
over everything
Yes.
exactly, and you went over
Yes.
everything.
I hope it was loosely like informative as well.
Of course.
Not even loosely, dude. Solid.
Okay.
I feel like it's just gonna take me a few days to process all the info.
But yeah, you gotta edit and make sure you
Just like in
time
my
skip
brain,
properly.
bro.
No.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
You did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I have a question.
The funny guy.
How the fuck did these tiny fluctuations of particles end up becoming something as massive as like a galaxy?
So the way in which the matter is concentrated throughout the universe has always had that same signature. And by signature, I mean it's like its imprint on the beginning of space and time to how it is now. This same gravity, the way that gravity organized these little clumps of matter has always been the same. And so it was just inevitable that as matter expands and comes together and forms like these complex structures, that it would form under these conditions with an expanding space.
Huh. So are we gonna
So
keep getting bigger and bigger celestial objects?
no, no. We're gonna get to objects like for now, the largest like kind of gravitational wells that can exist are like black holes. This is where the part of the theory begins to break down because they're essentially like infinite gravity wells where even light can't escape from, and they create these kinds of blind spots in the universe where we can't see anything through there. And as far as we know, any kind of information, if it's able to capture light and alter its path to the point where it sucks it in and we can't have any signature of the information of that light in this region, it means that there is something going on that we don't understand.
Okay.
Because it would mean that the gravity is powerful enough that it's able to suck in even the light, which is the barrier, the speed barrier of the universe.
And why can't anything go faster than the speed of light?
Very loosely, it's because it would take infinitely increasing amounts of energy to propel any type of mass to the speed of light. Which is why as you get like, very small particles like electrons can move at like 90% of the speed of light, or very close to the speed of light. But anything that has even the most minute mass, even neutrinos that have like very virtually zero mass, can't even move at the speed of light. It would take infinite amount of energy to go from 0.99999 times the speed of light to 1 times the speed of light. And if you want to know more about that, look into Einstein's equations of special relativity.
Okay. Wow. Farsa, I don't know if you have any other questions.
I think I'm good.
Tristan, thank you so much for passing on your knowledge to two humble peasants.
You guys are much
I just
more
feel
than
like I had to
that.
sit here and listen and just try to absorb it and not
I appreciate
have
you
an
guys even
aneurysm.
giving me the time to be able to talk about this stuff, because I find it truly fascinating. And even if you can take something away from this and add it to your own life, I think that'll have like meaningful impact for me.
Well, listen, we give nothing. It is an honor to talk with you and have you talk about something you're passionate about with us.
I appreciate it.
But what would you think
Get
the
it out.
biggest
Come on.
takeaway is from this? What should a person walk away from this with? Because obviously we're not going to retain the whole 2
You
hours of
don't matter
information.
yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so that's valid.
No, I think a lot of the study of
I did
space
say
and
that, didn't I?
understanding
did.
the scales of the cosmos and what they represent to us.
So
I
it is
think
that you don't matter, that we should remember.
I think it's a reminder that whatever you decide to do with your own life only has meaning in the way that you attribute it to. So
Yes.
there's no, aside from the forces of physics, like the laws of physics that we're bound to, we make up our own livelihoods, and we shouldn't center our way of being around what's going to happen to the universe or how the universe started. Because aside from just theoretically modeling what is going on, I think there's a lot more to be done spiritually by figuring out what you want out of this life and this little bit of time out of the time scale of the universe that you have on Earth.
Wow. Yeah, I completely agree.
I don't know, that's what I think when I'm
Just
looking at like,
make your
are we
own
going to
meaning,
die
right?
in 100 billion years, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
So
Like all these theories and models are super fun to study and learn about. And as we get closer and closer to the truth as well, you know, it's like exciting. But, you know, there's you choose what you're interested in and just follow along that.
how close do you think we are to, I don't know, ultimate knowledge of the universe?
So far. So far. I think as we get closer and closer, we're getting exponentially further and further away to the absolute limits.
Because we're realizing how much more there is.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much more to break down. There's so many models that, you know, still need further refining. And all of these studies, you know, it's like I quoted a lot of things that just happened in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
100 years of progress is not that much on the grand scheme of things. Yeah, everything I said should be taken with a grain of salt, and I'd encourage people to like even do their own research about maybe specific parts of the talk that they found interesting, learn more about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming
You're
on.
very welcome. My pleasure. It was
And
honestly really fun.
I hope everyone in the audience learned something tonight.
Yeah, at
I'm
least
sure
one
you
thing.
did, except if your name is Parsa.
Yes, I learned.
So, guys, thanks for tuning in to the PM podcast and have a beautiful evening.